Hello and welcome back to Scoop with Coop. I'm of course Coop, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about is VAR actually harming soccer? I know. That sounds crazy at first, right? How can prolonged reviews, how can videos assisting the referees with making more correct decisions, how could all of that possibly be detrimental to the sport of soccer? And, I want to start with the thing that really inspired me to want to make this video was the England Norway game with the ball hitting the net or hitting the wire in the sky, right? Like for the sky cam, because it did hit. It did hit that wire, and it did result in England getting the ball and then immediately scoring a goal right after, right? And I think that moment kind of opened my eyes to, maybe, just maybe, we need to look at VAR a little bit differently because this World Cup with VAR, there have been a ton of controversies with it, right? You have the Croatia Portugal game, right? That was pretty big, right? You have it to where on the field, ruled a goal, right? If the Croatian player's head hits the ball, it is offsides due to the fact that the player who ended up, you know, hitting it, he was in an offside position because of the pass, but the moment that the ball falls to him, and it was, I don't remember the exact scenario, but I remember that if his head touches the ball for Croatia, it is a no goal. If his head doesn't touch it, it's a goal. And this is in, stoppage time, right? Against, once again, Portugal, right? And, this was monumental, right? This is the round of 32. This literally, this use of VAR will determine if Croatia is sent home, in the tournament and that they are eliminated, or if Portugal, concede another goal and go into extra time, perhaps. And, looking at it from the replays and all that, my personal opinion, as someone who has watched thousands of hours of sports, whether it be football, basketball, soccer, right? All of those. If any type of, you know, arm, hand, head, foot, if anything touches a ball, it changes the way that the ball spins. It didn't do that, right? The literal way they overturned what was called on the field, which is a Croatia goal, was because of the VAR decision where, in the ball, they have a technology that, spikes when there's contact made to it, right? This usually in it spikes off the screen when there's like contact made to it. This one was just a little boop, just a little bit of a dot or a little bit of a blip, right? And if you're eliminating a team off of it, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of using technology that is still experimental and we don't know for sure is 100% accurate, because looking at it with my own eyes, in my opinion, there's no way you can say that his head touches it. There's no way that you can tell me that. It is very, very similar to the, Cristiano Ronaldo goal in the 2022 World Cup, where it was a cross from Bruno Fernandes. Like, it's very similar to that, where it's like, I don't, it looks very similar to that, and that was ruled as not a goal, or not a goal for Ronaldo. And, I'm not a fan of eliminating teams off of that. I'm not a fan of letting an experimental technology dictate how a crucial game ends. I'm not, a fan of that in any scenario. And then you have the other instance with Florin Balogun for the United States men's national team, where he fouls the Bosnian Herzegovina defender. This is also in the round of 32 as well. And with it, the clip that you see on Twitter is bad, right? The clip where you see Balogun stepping on the man's ankle and bending it. Yes, that's bad, but I think the context of it, where it is not a challenge from Balogun, both of them are fighting for a header, right? They're both fighting for positioning of the ball. The Bosnian defender, shields the ball, or where the ball would be coming from, shielding Balogun, right? So Balogun has to make up ground. He has to do this by spinning off and getting into him to move up, right? And in this, a arm gets locked by the Bosnian defender. He hooks Balogun's arm, shoves him, and kind of pushes him off balance. And in that, when they're both fighting for the ball, Balogun accidentally steps on his foot and bends it, right? He bends it. No injury took place, nothing like that. It was called a red card because it was a dangerous play. And, this brings up the idea of intent. Does intent matter? In my opinion, it does. Because I think if you look at, what a typical red card is, it is a bad challenge, right? It's either a bad challenge by a defender, it is clearly stopping somebody from a clear and obvious goal scoring scenario. Neither one of those were applicable here for Balogun because initially on the field it was ruled as a foul against Bosnia. So it went from a foul where Bosnia committed the foul, right, to not only a foul on Balogun, not only a yellow on Balogun, but a red card on Balogun. You have all of that playing into it. And, VAR was used poorly there because you're not allowed to use anything but the real time speeds, right? You can only watch it as it is, right? Because in VAR, when you're looking at things like fouls, whether or not it was a foul, the degree of the foul, that type of thing, you cannot look at things slowed down. It has to be in the speed with which it happened, right? You can only use slowed down motions on things such as, like, matter of fact, like who did it go off of, right? Who touched the ball? Who hit it last? Like that type of thing, right? It's not whether or not it was a red card or not. You have that instance, right? That's another instance of VAR coming in and messing things up, in my opinion, right? And then you have the incident that really pushed me to make this video, which is in the Norway game, goal kick for Norway. They kick it up, right? It's a high, kick. It's a normal goal kick, right? And in it, the ball seems to be moving normally, right? You have the normal little, going up, and then you have the instant drop, right? I've watched many sports. I don't see a just completely boop and then immediate fall. That is not how it works, right? And what really lets me know that they hit the net, or that the I guess line hit the ball, that the, I don't know what it's called, wire, I guess that the wire hit the ball, was the way in which Norwegian players were positioned, where they are so much further down the field where the ball would have landed had it not stopped midway through its trajectory, right? You have that. You then also have Norwegian players pointing up, which is an angle and replay that they did not show because it would admit that FIFA was in the wrong, right? That VAR messed up, right? The whole purpose of VAR is to take out refereeing mistakes, to clarify things, right? Didn't do it there, right? All you've done now is you've said, okay, it's cool for Argentina to suffer a foul, and then a minute and a half later, VAR that and take off a goal, right? I've already voiced my frustrations about that, And then in another Argentinian game, that same day, you then can have a challenge that, this one is more so on the rule than it is on VAR. I will say this one is more so on it just being a crappy rule, where you have a foul suffered by an Argentinian player onto, I forget his name, but it's the best Switzerland attacker out there, right? He dives 100%. He flops. He is not touched. He goes for a dive, right? He gets hit in the shin earlier, and then moves and sticks his leg out to try to draw contact and dives, right? A yellow card was issued to, I believe it was, maybe Paredes, maybe, I don't know. And that has to be overturned, right? Because it wasn't a yellow card, and you have to eject a player for a dive in a pivotal game that basically gives Argentina the win, right? You have to do all that. I think that instance is more so a fact that the rule sucks, where if you go, you can't remove a yellow. You have to put it on someone else. That rule sucks, right? But when I'm stating this, it's clear that the VAR has made a direct impact on the game, where it has directly, and instead of correcting calls, it has pushed for more incorrect calls to take place, right? And I think this brings up an interesting question of, is VAR, all that it's hyped up to be? You know, personally, I agree with the idea of it. I believe that if there's a bad call, yes, look at it. But if it's going to turn into, we can look back 2 minutes earlier and take off a goal, no. No. If it is, we can kick out a player because of things that are not in the rules and completely manipulate what the idea of VAR is supposed to do to remove a team's player, no. If our rules are so terrible in which we can kick a player off for something that, quite frankly, in my opinion, is not ejection worthy, no. If we can't tell that the sensor in the ball is accurate based off of it hitting something, but that's how we eliminate a team, no. I mean, this just feels wrong to me. And you have, FIFA having to cover up, you know, well, the ball never hit. Quite frankly, I'm not going to trust a word that FIFA says. I mean, I'm not, the biggest, fan of some of the stuff that they've done. And I think that it's more so just a case of we want to put faith in our referees, which I agree with that sentiment, but it's also like, I don't buy that. I know that they know it hit. You know how I know? Because the clips that we have seen from inside the stadium, the clips that we've seen from different angles, prove that it hits. And also, me knowing that it hits, I can see it hit. You can't tell me that my eyes are lying to me. You can't tell me that my knowledge of sports and, quite frankly, how trajectory of balls work, you can't tell me that that ball didn't hit because it's just flat out not true. And so if we're eliminating teams based off of the technology that, we can detect if a ball, gets hit, and we are directly eliminating teams based off that same technology that is, from what I have seen with my own two eyes, that is incorrect. That is wrong. So I think there is a big question about VAR. Should it still be relied upon as much as it is? Because in so many instances, you see VAR just meddling in things, adding things incorrectly. You have some games where the VAR lets things get out of control because you have fouls that should be yellows but aren't even looked at, right? And you have goals, instead of looking at the, excitement and jubilation that you get from scoring it, you're wondering, is VAR going to hose me, right? That just feels weird to me. And I really want to, propose this question of, should VAR still be weighed upon as heavy as it is? And if so, there need to be changes, right? This current VAR just isn't good enough for me, at least, as a fan watching this, because it's like, yeah, I've tried my best to watch every single World Cup game, and every single game there is an instance I can point to where it's like, VAR stuck their fingers in this, or they were completely absent and didn't get a grip on things. But this is the Scoop with Scoop. Whoa. This is the Scoop with Coop, back again with another World Cup banger video, right? We are going to be releasing a couple more World Cup videos within the next 24 hours. So if you want to make sure to go ahead and see them, make sure to go ahead and like and subscribe. It's absolutely crucial to the channel. But as previously mentioned, this has been the Scoop with Coop, and until next time, so long, everybody.